Hello, this is Paul Bergin from the Mars Hill blog. You can find me at www.paulbergin, that's paulbergin.blogspot.co.uk. Continuing my series of my own political heroes who I think influenced the culture and society we live in. Today I'm looking at Abraham Lincoln, perhaps just about the most famous US president there has been. The 16th US president. He was born in 1809 in a log cabin. The stereotypical route from the log cabin to the White House. He had the stereotypical background in some ways. He was pretty much, he was an Illinois man later on. He was pretty much living on what was close to about the frontier. He became, from a fairly working class background, albeit rural, he then became a lawyer, but he had a lot of upset in his life. He had 4 sons, only one of whom lived beyond the age of 18, the eldest, Robert Todd Lincoln, who's famous in his own right. He was later American ambassador to London at the court of St. James, as was, incidentally, many years later, John F. Kennedy's father. But the 2 of the 3 sons who died young died in his lifetime. His wife was pretty much close to the edge. I don't think she had the full mental breakdowns that she had later in his lifetime, but there was a lot of stress and upset. He stood for election time and again for various offices, but failed, except one where he spent 2 years as a congressman representing a district in Illinois from 1847 to 1849. He grew through the ranks of the Republican Party, though, and his public speeches he gave a sense of strong moral fibre, and he had a very good turn of phrase from early on. He suffered from depression and struggled, but in spite of it, he ended up being US president. But his strong stance on abolition, his strong stance against secession, meant civil war was just about inevitable. It was creeping up in the decade beforehand, but it came apparent, really hit past the point of no return with Lincoln's election and his inauguration as president. So just about all his presidency, aside from the first month and the last 6 days, were characterised by the American Civil War. But his leadership, his ability to detach, his ability to trust certain people, his relationship with the Union commander Ulysses S. Grant, himself a future US president, made a lot of difference. He got re-elected in 1864. He had a Democrat, Lincoln being a Republican, as his vice president in his second term. He saw the end of the Civil War, but as most of us know, he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, an actor who was a disgruntled Southerner and segregationist 6 days later. But Lincoln showed a determination in dealing with the lack of moral fibre in the South. He ended slavery in the Union in 1863. He said when the Civil War ended that we must show malice towards none. He was very keen to incorporate the South very much back into the fold, not just in terms of state and politics, but bring them back into a sense of acceptance. He showed a lack of willingness to be vindictive in victory, and I think there was a lot of loss by his death. But he showed his courage, his determination, and what his setbacks, his battle with ill health, and yet his ability to show being magnanimous, as well as his turn of phrase, has meant that he's been an inspiration since. And I think many in my position here would say the same. He is a major political hero.